How many of you all love the fall? Take a poll here. Pretty good number. Fall is my favorite season of the year. I just love the time of year when the world just bursts into color, doesn't it? It's like, I mean, green's fine, and green is a color. But it's like, it's just green, right? And then come the fall, all of a sudden, it's like, I don't know, it's like the whole world just burst into Technicolor. You have these yellows they're almost gold, this deep, rich orange, the burgundies, oh Lord, the burgundies, the royal purple. Oh, it's just so very, very beautiful. It's like everything just bursts into this firework display, and all of nature is adorned in beautiful, beautiful color. I just absolutely love it. It's my very favorite time of the year. Of course, then they go a little brown, and they start to fall off, and they get in gutters, and they cause yard work, and that makes fall a little less fun. But when I was a kid, do you all remember raking together a great big pile of leaves? Does anyone even still do this? You rake together, I'm not talking about like a pile of leaves, like 3 feet high and about 6 feet across, and you get yourself a good running start, and you just dive, you jump, you slide. Oh my gosh, it's just the best thing in the world, and those leaves do not come out of your hair for like 2 weeks, because baths are for losers, and that's what being a kid is all about. I haven't jumped in a pile of leaves in a really long time. And now when the leaves all start to fall off the trees, I get a little wistful. I don't know about you. These beautiful, vibrant colors, they disappear. The leaves fall off the trees, and the trees look so bare, and it makes me a little bit sad because it's almost like they're dying. It's like there's no life left in them at all. And I look at those naked trees, and I just can't help but feeling a little bit wistful. Sure do miss those vibrant colors. I'd even settle for green. And now I need some help with this next part of the sermon. Are there any kids that would want to come help me? My best friend. Any other kids want to? I see some in the back coming. All right. You want to help me, Nathaniel? Hannah, you want to help me? John? I know you're too old for it, but I made everybody come up last week too. You were out of town, so you have to do it this week. All right. Got here some leaves. Yeah. We're not going to make a leaf pile, don't worry. It wouldn't be much, you wouldn't be doing much jumping in this, would you? There you go, John. Are there any other people that want to come help me out? Anybody? Steve? There you go. Oops. There you go. Have a couple. Yeah, you can't hang on to a couple. Yeah. Here, have another one or two. All right. There you go. All right. Do you all need to pass one around? You all know what these look like? You had some experience with these in your yard, maybe? All right. This is your standard leaf. Do you all know what leaves do for a tree? Do you know what's a leaf do for a tree? Do you know? Any ideas? What's that? Oxygen and food. That's right. Do you know the fancy science word for what leaves do? Have you learned that yet? Starts with photo. Photosynthesis. That's right. Photosynthesis. Do y'all know about photosynthesis? You know what? I like saying words together. Let's say photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. And we'll get the blackboard out here in a minute. Now, some of you are teachers, so this ought to be, like flashbacks for you, right? Photosynthesis. So how does photosynthesis work? Do you have any idea? You're not sure? Well, when a leaf is nice and green, but this one isn't green anymore, but when a leaf is nice and green, that means it's filled up with something called, do you know what? Chlorophyll, that's right. It's filled up with chlorophyll. And what chlorophyll does, besides make a leaf green, is it helps to nourish the tree because the leaf, when it's filled up with chlorophyll, it gathers carbon dioxide and it gathers water. What else? Nutrients from the soil. Light. And it takes carbon dioxide and water and light and nutrients from the soil, and it creates food and energy and nourishment for a tree. That's what green leaves do for a tree. They nourish and help the tree to keep growing bigger and getting taller. And what happens when a tree grows bigger and taller? Do you have an idea? It gets more... sometimes it does get more bees, that's true. Gets more branches, right? As it gets taller and wider, it gets more branches. And what do you think comes on those branches? Leaves, that's right. Very good, yes. As there are more branches, there are more leaves. So the green leaves help the tree to get bigger and stronger. They nourish it and help it to flourish and to have more branches and leaves. Now, what do you think happens when a leaf goes from being nice and green to being like this color? What do you think has happened? It lets go of its chlorophyll and dies. Well, that's part of the story. Yes, it loses its chlorophyll. What happens is, this is really cool. You're going to like this. When the days begin to get shorter and there's less light available, that chlorophyll in the plant realizes, hey, winter's coming. I need to do something for this tree to kind of protect it. And so the reason why a leaf turns from green to yellow, this one's a little, I wish we had a red one. I don't have a nice big red one, but imagine this one's red. It turns nice bright color, is because the chlorophyll goes away, and what the leaf does is it starts to store up sugars and other chemicals and nutrients that the tree is going to need for the winter. And it stores all that stuff up. It gets rid of its chlorophyll. It stores it up. And then eventually it breaks off and it falls to the ground. When it breaks off, this is so awesome. When it breaks off, it actually leaves a hard protective coating behind it on the branch. That's where the new leaf will come out in the spring. As the leaf seems to die and fall off the branch, it actually leaves behind a legacy of protection and growth and help for the tree. And then when that leaf falls on the ground, do you think it's just dead? Is it done? There's nothing else it can do to help the tree? You think so? Is that what you think? Do you agree with your sister? Maybe. What do you think? Is it done? There's nothing else it can do for a tree once it's fallen down to the ground? You don't know? Well, that's a legitimate answer. Yeah. How about you guys have an idea? Is it done? You don't think so. You're calling my bluff. You don't think so? What do y'all think? Is it done? What's it do? It becomes mulch, compost, and provides rich, fertile, nourishing soil for the tree so that the tree can continue to grow and get bigger and stronger and get more branches, right? And more branches come with more leaves. That's right. And those leaves will be what color when they come out in the spring? It's not a trick question. Go ahead. Peanut gallery. Who said that? Did someone say green? Green. Yes, Helen, you're right. Gold star. Green. And that means that they're full of what if they're green? And that means they can do what? That's right. Exactly. It all starts over again, doesn't it? And the tree continues to grow and thrive and prosper and be nourished and get taller and wider and develop more branches that come with more leaves. Do you see where I'm going with this? All right. Thank you all for your help. You all can go to your seats now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You can take your leaves with you. It's like a souvenir. It's like when you go to the baseball game and they give you a foam finger Any guesses as to what that has to do with All Saints' Day? The communion of saints is a lot like that tree. The communion of saints that we confess in our creed is like that tree. Even though those who have gone before us are no longer physically connected to the tree, they're still part of who we are. Jesus in the Gospel of John says, I am the vine and you are the branches. Now, have you ever seen a branch just off on its own? If you do, it's dead, right? Branches are connected to other branches and to the vine. That's a beautiful image of the communion of saints. We're connected to one another through Jesus Christ by virtue of our baptism. That's why I put the baptismal symbols out here for All Saints' Day. Baptism connects each and every one of us in the communion of saints. And even death isn't strong enough to break those bonds. Even those who have gone before us, though we no longer see them, they still are a vital and vibrant part of who we are as Christians today. They have left us a legacy of nourishment, enrichment, growth, and even protection. As they have fallen to the ground and seemingly died, they continue to enrich the fertile soil that makes our tree of the church grow stronger and taller and have more branches. And what comes with more branches? More, well, say it like you mean it. Leaves. More leaves. And if in this image the leaves are more Christians, that means we continue to become more and more of us, Christians in the world, all because of the legacy, the work, the nurture, and the care of the communion of saints. We're separated by a veil now, those around the throne and those here around this altar, yet we are worshiping together. We are still connected. There is nothing that will separate us from the love of God, and even death is not strong enough to break the bonds that connect us to the saints in our baptism. We remain rooted in the rich soil they have given us. We continue to be nourished by the stories of what they have done. We continue to grow and thrive because of the legacy of tradition, the legacy of faithfulness, the legacy of protection that the saints have given to us. And many of us are young leaves today, and we continue to gather the raw materials of faith. We gather the word, the sacrament, our service and fellowship with one another, and we convert that into nourishment and enrichment and growth for this tree of the church that we all make our home. That someday we too will change colors. Someday we too will fall off the tree. Yet we will still remain connected to the tree of the church that's endured for 2,000 years and will continue to endure long after we have gone. We are always connected to Jesus, our vine, and to one another, the branches, by virtue of our baptism into the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And we continue together to nurture and grow this tree of the church, this church that is so strong, that is on such a firm foundation that even the very gates of hell will never prevail against it. As we continue in the tradition that has formed us and shaped us, in the faith that nurtures us and helps us to grow and to continue to be flourishing members of Christ Church. As we continue to bear fruit, we find ourselves sojourning together with one another and with the whole company of heaven in the communion of saints. And thanks be to God for those who have nourished and enriched our faith. And thanks be to God for the opportunities we have to nourish and enrich each other's faith now. And thanks be to God that someday there will be those that look back upon this time and say, those saints are the reason why the church is where it is today. Nothing will ever separate or break the bonds of baptism. And we are always and forever connected by virtue of our baptism to that great cloud of witnesses, the communion of saints that continues from the beginning of the church all the way into eternity. Amen.